So maybe we should just slide into the first listeners
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
carry on.
Let's
But
do it.
one of the first listeners questions is, so basically I want to get clients for SEO. I want to win new clients. And clearly someone who's an SEO wants to go out, win new customers.
A question near and dear to my heart for nearly 10 years,
Yeah, exactly. 10 years of trying to get clients.
trying to answer that question.
How would you answer it before? Because I think we'll then go into like this sharing on them to some extent. Yeah. What's your
Um,
experience?
so I mean, initially, the way that I used to get clients way back when, so like my very first little agency that I ran in like my free time and my weekends, I would go to Ahrefs or something like that and find a keyword for some kind of local business. So like solar panel installation, uh, plus a location. So like, let's say like solar panel installation Chelmsford, for
Mhm,
example. And then I would find every site that ranks on it from like page 2 onwards.
mhm.
And I would also take account of who the top 3 were. And I would email like every single one. By the way, it's something along the lines of like, I don't know if you know that there's something wrong with your website. When I do this search of like solar panel installation in Chelmsford, I can see that like 400 people a month are making that search, and these 3 people turn up.
Well,
From what I can tell, they're your competitor. Uh, Please let me know if you want to learn why they're ranking above you, or like what's wrong with your website for you to like not rank when these websites rank. And
love it.
that was that is a horrible way of doing it
Yeah.
because it's so time involving. Like it takes so much time to scrape all those emails, to find all of those websites, to get in touch with people, to send many emails. I was sending like 200 or 300 emails a day at one point, and not like burn email addresses. Um, and as l- and the amount of emails that I got back that were just like, "You don't know where I get my business from. Like, why are you emailing me? We don't even have a website." Like ridiculous amounts of stuff that you get back. But I landed clients. Like I got clients doing that. I hated doing it, but I got clients doing it. And I think there's a lot of people out there that like that kind of cold email is like just how they go about getting clients.
One thing that strikes me about that is like you're sort of by default choosing who you want to work with, and those people who you're choosing to work with clearly know nothing about the internet and know nothing about
Yeah.
SEO, and they've got like a little plumber website that they popped up, and their kids
Yep.
popped up. And I think it's kind of only a hard sell, but you're going to be hard to get much money out of someone like that.
Oh, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was balling when I was charging like 600-700 pounds a month to these people, and that was a difficult sell.
Mm.
Like that was really hard back then. And but like it's just not the right way of going about it. It doesn't work like that. It it's so difficult. The sell is really hard. It took me many years of doing something like that to effectively tell myself I wasn't going to work with someone that didn't understand the value of SEO. Because if they don't understand the value of what I do, then the sale is really hard,
Yeah, yeah.
like really hard. And I'm not great at sales. I don't have a bad like sales history, but I'm not a salesperson. Like I do content. So like going into those conversations from a sales point of view is like just a massive uphill battle.
Mhm.
And it just made it harder when they were like, we've never gotten traffic from Google. Like, why would we want more?
Yeah, most of our people just come through a word of mouth. So
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one guy just saying, like, he was like, 90% of the people on this street are my clients and they have been for 15 years. And I was like, I'm not changing your mind. That's okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to go to someone like that give me even £700 a month, and I'll help you grow. Like,
Mm,
you might they might go, "Well, I don't wanna grow."
mm,
I'm pretty just I've got enough business. I don't wanna.
yeah,
So, yeah, I guess the win rate's harder. But that being said, it's quite a legitimate, like, you're just starting out and you want some experience. Like, the
yeah,
fundamental of it is, like, finding people with, like, quick wins on their website and
yeah.
approaching them and saying, "I know quick wins that you can make." Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, like if this is day one, you've gone, do you know what? I either know SEO, I've done a bit for a company, for an agency or something like that, or I want to learn it and I want to get a client so that I can learn it faster because I can learn it like in anger and actually do it on a website. The number one way to do it that I found that works is tell every single person in your family and your friends that this is what you want to do. Someone will step forwards and go, I've got a website. I know those three words. Sorry, I know what those three letters are. I know the order that they're in, but I don't know how to do it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the only thing that I would say with that is just set a boundary of like, I'm learning. I'm gonna do this for like 2 or 3 months and just see what happens. And like, because as soon as if they start seeing like really good success from it, and I've seen this happen, and you're not getting paid, you'll resent it.
Okay.
So there needs to come a point where you say, like, if this succeeds in 3 months' time, I would like to talk about like what payment would look like, because
Mhm.
that's the goal that I have. Is I want to become so good that that's a conversation that we have. But in all honesty, like just talk to people in your family. There'll be someone somewhere that has a website that they have
Mhm.
not touched in 5 years' time that they will almost happily give you to get any, like if you can get them one phone call in a month,
Yeah,
you did something right.
yeah,
And you start getting those things moving. Yeah.
yeah. And if you get really lucky, you might have family members who are, like, really depend like, I know some people whose family members are all, like, professional services, or, like, where they work in
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
businesses. But, yeah, it happened actually in my family, it was the same. Like, I know, like, my mum and my auntie are both "I wanna create a," and my auntie was like, "I wanna create a recipe, like, this vegan recipe website." And I'm like, "You need SEO, but I don't have time to do this."
Mm,
Like, you could grow really well through that. But, like,
yeah.
those kind of things do come up.
I mean, and if they've got a professional services business, like learn how to do Google My Business. It is
Mm.
the easiest thing that you can do from an SEO point of view. It is the fastest I've ever gotten a ranking in my life, which was 20 minutes after making a change. We ranked like literally position one in a map because of a change that we made. Um, that is not guaranteed, by the way. But
It's that.
like learn how to do that. I know so many businesses, local businesses that literally bankroll the vast majority of their entire business because they rank well in GMB. And it's not difficult to do once you get into it and you kind of learn the vet. Because there's the difference with GMB is that you have a set number of variables that you can change, and that's it. Like you get like it's like SEO diet. Like you get a couple little bits that you can play around with, and you can play around with them as much as you want, and you will start seeing results. Whereas if it's SEO and you keep playing around with it and you keep requesting crawls on the pages, Google's just going to keep throwing you to the back of the line every time.
Mhm.
Whereas like GMB, they want GMB to be good because it makes Google's core product better, which is Google Maps.
Yeah, start there. For I mean, for local businesses, I feel like so this the overall point of this, like, first bit is, like, if you to get SEO clients, you can start, like, local family friends, like, those kind of easier wins,
Yeah.
potentially. Yeah,
If you want to get bigger businesses, like that doesn't work.
yeah, exactly. So that's next. Like, I think you work quite exclusively with B2B SaaS
B2B
companies
SaaS with internal content teams. Yeah.
within code, so probably, like, with quite a big budget. So you can't necessarily just approach them because
Yeah.
they'll know the basic shit, probably, maybe,
Yeah.
like, for,
Yeah.
but
There's
y
usually somebody in the team that thinks that they know enough SEO to be dangerous, but it turns out they remember how to operate Yoast, which is
add a plugin.
just put the plugin on. It's fine. It works.
Keyword there. Okay, yeah, but so those people, you need to be seen as an expert, someone who can really solve their problems or move the needle growth. Like they want to grow, they need someone to help them do it. How do you win a client like that?
Um, so I mean, for me, I made the commitment 9 months ago at this point to post daily on LinkedIn because I think okay, let's bring the question back one step first before we like jump into like specifics because I think the specifics of turning up daily in front of your audience is like the answer to that question.
Mhm.
But first of all, you need to define two things, and one of them is like who is that audience, and then two, where are you turning up daily?
Mhm.
Because if I did SEO for people that run like life coaching businesses, my turning up daily place is Facebook every day because
They're
that's
all on there.
where they are. They've all got their own groups. Like that's where they are every day. But where like my people is LinkedIn and Twitter.
Yep.
Twitter is Twitter is Twitter right now,
Yeah.
and LinkedIn is stable.
Yeah.
So for me, I already had a bit of a following, like not an enormous amount, like 500 or 600 people or so on Twitter from my on LinkedIn from my old job. So LinkedIn just made so much more sense for me to turn up daily there.
Yeah.
And that was effectively it. So like I think that's more of a like define those two things first
Mhm.
before you commit to what is effectively I'm going to turn up daily and just
If you turn up date, like that's a really good point because if you have to invest for a long time, for a long period of time to
yeah.
building an audience which is in one place. So if you
Mhm.
start posting every day on Facebook for 6 months and then you move to LinkedIn for 6 months and then you move to Twitter for 6 months, you lose your momentum every time. So like pick a
Yeah.
pick a channel where wisely and then
Post until you hit that like inflection point where things just start to seem to grow like without you being there,
yeah.
but obviously keep turning up. And what you'll find is then if you do want to move to another channel, you can take the last like 6, 7, 8 months worth of content that you have and just tweak it slightly and just schedule it to go on another channel. And it's very little work to effectively acquire another channel because you've already done the hard work. But if you just do like you said, you do like 4 months, 5 months,
Stop for
and then
once.
move, and then like every time you're relearning like what works, one on that channel, but then two, like for the people like of your people that are on that channel, what works for them.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I've seen that happen in my own stuff in the last like 2 months. I mean, of the 6,500 followers that I've got now, which in the grand scheme of things, like nothing. I'm still very much a nobody, but like LinkedIn is my number one source of all clients right now. But like 4,000 of those have turned up in the last almost like 2.5, 3 months.
Yeah. So momentum
But I
builds.
I put 5, 6 months in first before I got there.
Yeah. And I've seen it takes that much time to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and also just a
Yeah.
bit of awareness. Some people, in a very rare turn up and a couple of weeks in, get thousands of followers. And some people I see turn up and get, yeah, like 20,000 followers into
Yeah.
probably Jake Ward is a good example. Very quick.
Yeah. You see a lot of people come from Twitter as well, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They've got
Andrea,
massive audiences on Twitter and they come to LinkedIn and they just kind of blow up.
have you seen, I think it's guy I talked to is Andrea, um Andreas Bos.
I think I know who you mean. Zane Khan's another one who's done the same thing. And then
Uh,
Sahil Bloom, he's done the same thing. They've all moved from Twitter.
Andrea Bozzoni is who I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry for getting it wrong if he but yeah, he has
No,
a great Twitter following, a huge email list, which I followed was great.
no, I completely
Yeah, of
agree.
course, zerotomarketing.com. That's the one. But
Mhm.
but I also know people who spent a year getting 0 likes on their post, which must have been painful, but then took off and got like now 30, 50,000.
Mm.
Um,
I look at some of my first posts and I like to do this thing where like if any one of my posts kinds of like goes like mini viral for me, like does a little bit more than what I usually get. I like to go into Shield, which is a LinkedIn Analytics tool and see how long it took me to do that combined from day one to there. And there was one post that I had, and it did like 75, 80K views, which again, not an enormous amount compared to a lot of people, but for me, that's huge. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I looked at my initial stats, and for me to do 85K total took me 3.5 months. And
Yeah,
it's like
it's
you have
important
to
though.
put that work in though.
Yeah. But do you know what? During that time, most people learn how to become a better copywriter.
Yeah.
Like you learn what resonates with an audience. I think it's just like it's invaluable for any marketer to go through that because you learn everything. You learn marketing. Like
Yeah.
doing marketing. Uh,
No, I totally agree.
But I would say for me, I posted on LinkedIn about like the podcast and about like various things from my like startup journey, like
Mm,
starting up things over maybe since about 2018. So
mhm.
2018, maybe 2019. And not it bought me like 2 jobs that I got over that time, but it didn't bring me clients or anything. So I would like
Oh,
clarify
that's interesting. Yeah.
I would clarify for people that but when I started posting exclusively about SEO in September,
Yeah.
and teaching SEO and the podcast obviously started to focus 100% on SEO at that point.
Mm,
My audience of SEOs would grow like a lot. Um,
yeah.
and I don't know if it's because they've been client building for a very long time but I just connecting and building a following of SEOs who liked my content. That's when I started to get people coming to me and saying, can you help us?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't advertise like that I do SEO freelancing stuff. I just post tips for people and then they come to me. So maybe
It's crazy. I still have people that I jump on calls with for like what I think are going to be discovery calls, that kind of thing. The sun has turned up for you. But like
the
they're
horrible
just
curtain, but
jumping on and talking about things. And they'll start the questions with like, okay, so are you at an agency or something? Or are you like a consultant? I'm like, do I not write enough of that? It's me. I'm a consultant. I do one thing. I don't work for an agency. Like, so I can understand what you're saying. Like, I think I talk about it enough of like I'm one person. I run my own business. Like these kind of things. But maybe I don't. Maybe people just don't see those posts. I don't know.
I don't know what it is. I don't I
Odd.
I
Yeah.
do think you you get like those 50,000 impressions you get, just all it takes is a couple of them to be looking on the lookout for a new consultant,
Mm.
and you can capture them. That's like the demand capture side of things. And
The the
I
one thing that made the biggest difference was on LinkedIn, where you on your profile, where you can put it's like offers, like SEO, content marketing, like consulting services, like something like that. When I changed that and added those, all of a sudden people started contacting me about it.
what did you change it to?
I don't know what it says. Like I just didn't have it initially, I don't think. And then now it says provide services. And then it's like marketing, content strategy, SEO, marketing strategy, uh,
Right.
yeah, growth marketing. Like there's just a little block that's kind of like under your name sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it
That's
and it was there. And I didn't know it. I saw it on other people's profiles and was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna add that on. And suddenly, like, I've had people book calls with me that have gone, I've never seen any of your posts. I just found you through, like, I was looking for services.
oh god, really? Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's great. Just be visible. Um, yeah, that's important. I think. I think the other thing. I think this brings us back to what we really started talking about at the beginning is like what to post. And I think the more you give away personally, the more there'll be a huge group of people who just copy and learn from you. But you're still, it's like any good content marketing. The more you give away, you are seen as the person who gave that advice forever. And I think you build up an audience who think you're an expert, and even if they don't need you right now, one day when they do need you, they want to go, or even if they try and take your strategy and implement it themselves,
Mhm.
one day they'll realize that they can't do it. It's not working or whatever, and they'll come back.
Yeah.
I do think so that for me, like the more you give, the more you get with content. Mm.
I think where was it that I originally heard it? And I think it was like Rami Setti's stuff, like from ages ago when he was talking about like the quality of his content on his website when he would do podcasts. And he was like, I give away 99% of everything I know. And if I give that away for free, imagine the 1% I don't tell you.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was
it's like
like, yeah, that makes so much sense. But it goes back to the thing that we were saying about like before we started recording, and that give away the dots, so many dots, define what the dots are, give checklists for all of the dots, like all of that knowledge. But your expertise and your strategy comes entirely from which dots are applicable, what order do you do them in, how do you join them together?
yeah,
Like that is not something I can write about how I do that, but that's just another dot.
it's true.
That's all it is. Like the expertise comes from like at this point, I think I've audited, oh God, probably 500 plus websites. Like I can't define the lessons that I've learned from just doing that in one post, but I can take all of those lessons to help me work out what I like. I can pull lessons from that as posts. I can turn the process of learning those things and the patterns that I've noticed into posts, which
Yeah,
shows that I've done that work and I know what I'm doing. But then also it shows that like if you're going to come to me and go, we've got a site that needs to audit, like one, I've got a process for it, and two, you know that what you're getting from the other side of it is going to be well informed, and I'm going to give you the stuff that matters on the other side.
yeah, yeah. I think the well informed part is one of the big parts of this for me. Like if you're the guy posting every day on LinkedIn and I'm learning from you, I believe you to be, yeah, however informed you are, I believe you to be the guy
Mm.
who's the one to help me, the expert who's been through it all, who knows his teaching.
Yeah.
You're teaching. You're at that point. Um,
I
and you
think
get
as well there's a level of confidence in that if you post on a regular basis and they're like good posts,
yeah.
like you give away as much as you possibly can. There's a level of confidence that just goes, I know you can't do this.
Yeah.
I can tell you everything. I know you can't do this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's true, and a lot of people don't wanna do it, I would say. Like, there's
Yeah.
founders, people who talk to me who are like, I've I've had a few that's like, "I'll give you the strategy, but I don't actually personally have a time or team to do all this for you." Like you said, you work with
Mhm.
people who have a content team. You don't have the time to write content for them, and a lot of founders, who I've talked to are like, can you just do it all? Just take it off my plate. Like, a founder can write a great
Yeah.
blog post, but they don't have the time and energy. Like, they want to find someone who's smart, they've proven themselves to be smart, to
Yeah.
just take it off your plate. And in that sense, like, if you're just delivering strategy or just content or whatever it is, you can kind of, you know,
Yeah.
you might tell them exactly how to do it, but they're going to want you to do it. They want someone else to do it.
Yeah. I think there's a reason why like I personally prefer to work with companies that have internal content teams is because I know then that the content will always hit an internal benchmark, like standard that they have, that they
Mhm.
can own, that they're proud of. Whereas like external writers, they just write what they're given, right? And they write within the context that they're given, but that isn't necessarily the context that's needed for everything to be good. So yeah, I like
Yeah, yeah,
working with people within like a company already because I know that they're like a lot of those kind of like design standards, content standards, these kind of things, like they're already set.
yeah, yeah. That's nice. I think it's sort of like it's where can you be most effective for them as well. It's like maybe you could help them set all that stuff, but your core skill set and where you can, be a bit
Yeah.
dangerous for them is to come in and help their teams at that level. And if you've identified that, yeah.
It's difficult to hire good writers, and that is not a skill I want to learn because that's in like an entirely different offer at that point. It's like, how do you actually build a proper internal content team? That's a much bigger, different job.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough. Okay, one other one other example I would give. We've gone really a long time on this question, but maybe it's an important. There's a
I think it's really important because like what is the point? Like so many people that do SEO in one at one point or another, you either do what I've done, which is you have dreams for 10 years to build your own business. And
Mhm.
the only way you can build your own business is by having clients.
Yeah,
So it's a really like it's very much more a business question than it is just like a straight up SEO question.
yeah,
But even if you rise up the ranks in SEO, at some point either going to have to upsell something. You're going to be like, if you become head of SEO, like your job is now to get more people, use your connections that you have to get more clients.
mhm.
Like at some point, this is a question that you have. But also on the other side of things, I think there's a really important lesson that I've learned with this for myself is I know who doesn't need SEO now because they have the same problem that I have, which is not using SEO to get SEO clients because that doesn't work.
Hey, that's a good
But
one.
like moving into getting like using a different platform to get SEO clients. Like I've spoken to PR agencies over the last couple of months that have all gone, we think SEO is the golden ticket. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
no, it's not.
And SEO is definitely not for everyone. Let's talk about SEO for getting SEO clients for a second.
Okay.
Because I asked the guy Ryan Law from Animals, why don't
Mhm.
you? I think we had this little discussion on the podcast. Like, why don't you get SEO through SEO? Like, isn't it funny? SEOs never do that. He's like,
Mhm.
not really, because if you target SEO keywords, let's say how to do SEO, whatever it is, SEO companies, it comes back to that for them. Their target market is director of SEO at Zendesk, director of like they're
Yeah.
looking for big content teams at like very successful companies. Those
Mhm.
people don't search very basic SEO questions.
Yeah.
And so it's so competitive anyway, not
Yeah.
worth the time investment because like it comes back to what you said at the beginning, like, where are your customers on that channel? S-
Hmm.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, like where are they going to be most often?
Hmm.
And if you're targeting people in big companies with experience in SEO, like you're not going to get them like, yeah, by targeting all those SEO kind of basics.
Yeah. There was a point that I was made aware of a long time ago when I can't remember who, like the exact company, but they used to pride themselves on that they ranked like number one for like New York SEO agency or something like that.
Yeah,
And
can
as
imagine.
you can imagine, that's insane competition. And their page literally just said, if your SEO agency can't rank for this keyword for number one, who says they can rank you?
Yeah, it's
And
smart.
I was like, I get that. Like that's a ballsy PR move in
Yeah.
the grand scheme.
It's
So an insane play. But was all I could ever think was
trying.
those SEO agencies are playing the game so like towing that line so much to win those SEO. I like we sell SEO keywords, right? Like and those strategies are part of what they know to win ridiculous keywords against other SEOs. And what wins in competition against SEOs is just like gaming the system as much as you possibly can. Those systems, those SOPs will be part of what they do for everyone. And I just don't see any longevity or any like healthy content that comes out of playing that game and the agencies that kind of build and like fight
Mm.
that fight. That is a ridiculous fight. I will happily sit on the sidelines and watch, but it is not the fight that I want to be part of. And
Yeah.
exactly to your point, like when I was head of SEO, we ranked number one for like growth hacking agency London.
Yeah.
We got like 4 clicks. We got no
Yeah.
sales because 'cause they're all tire kickers. No one cares.
Mm.
because the people doing that search think what you sell solves their problem. You're not meeting them when they actually have a problem with a solution to build trust in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's a key thing.
the
It's like
point that you're meeting them is the point where they're like, we think you can solve our problem, but no one's defined what that problem is. And they've just kind of Googled you, which is way more like I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
mm,
If you can solve the problem that I don't also know what is a problem yet. And like that just doesn't work. It never worked for us. Whereas like LinkedIn, I can write about so many different problems every day. I can
yeah.
write a different problem and I can poke that bear. And then every now and then I'll just poke it enough until somebody just goes, oh, that one hurt when you wrote that sentence about like content strategy. And I realized we didn't have any. And now I need
Yeah.
to talk to you.
Exactly. It's like the whole yeah. It's thinking about the funnel really as well. As like with SEO, you can go for like those local SEO plays, but you think about who it is who's searching for that,
Mhm.
and do you actually want them, and are they actually going to convert? And then
Yeah.
where are your resources probably better spent? Like somewhere you can grow and expand. And that being said, I do know. Let's say like Samantha North is an
Yeah.
example. She's growing her personal blog, samanthanorth.com, I think. Um, and she wants to be like a niche blogging, you know, expert, which she is already.
Easy.
And is I mean, you check out the blog, it is building up at SEO in SEO terms. But I guarantee for that audience, it is more effective, I think. If because she's answering like really important questions about niche blogging and
Yeah.
like SEO for niche blogs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think when the traffic builds, people will book consulting calls with her to get their opinion. But not straight
Yeah.
basic
I,
SEO terms. It,
I think as well, especially for her stuff, it's like the the person that's doing that search in the first place has already kind of like filtered themselves into like one, I know what a niche blog is. I know the purpose of it. I know what I expect out of it. And I know the problems I'm gonna have in creating that. Like they're already problem aware. And like Samantha kind of like creating content around like niche blog SEO, like trying to figure out what your niche is, like the monetizing side of things. Like these these are problems that then the answer gives another problem, which then is like talk to Samantha to like find out the specifics.
it's
The,
difficult.
there's a lot more of a search behind a search instead of just here is generic problem that I think agency can help solve.
Mhm.
I would every single time I would rather talk to someone about a specific problem than just, oh, you think you know SEO? Or sorry, you think you want SEO? Tell me why you think you need SEO
Yeah,
because I'm
I agree.
probably going to tell you you don't. Whereas if it's like we've got three people that work inside, we've written 20 pieces of content in the last year. One, we don't think we're writing enough, but we don't know what to write. And two, none of that content ranks. Okay, now we have a series of problems that I know I can solve.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
okay, the answer is SEO, but we're not talking about SEO, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think I think potentially you can find those more like problemy thing, like queries for SEO. You probably could, but I still think who would be the person who would be searching them is probably an SEO themselves.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't. Basically, I just don't think it's the best. In summary, the best way to go on this. But
I
you,
think my like summary for this is every single day I know the person that could pay me is turning up to this one place.
Mhm.
Why would I not go there? Because I tell you now, that person isn't searching best SEO agency in London every day
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
see if I've made changes to my post, to like my homepage that answers a problem that they have. But every day I know they turn up on LinkedIn
So true.
and they might post about a problem that they're having or how they've solved a problem, which then gives me an opportunity to write something. or I can write my own post about blah, blah, blah. And I get like a chance every day to align with them. Whereas if it's an SEO thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that like I align with them on their terms.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. Okay, so and maybe we're gonna do one question, this listener's question. We've got others the next, because I still
We
have.
can break the other questions up and do like separate
Yeah,
like mini podcasts for them.
yeah, I think we're definitely gonna have to do that, because I have 2 more examples I think might help people. One, you've had this experience, um, and actually, no, before we talk about that one,
Mhm.
I talk about this other one, which is an agency that I know do this really well. Um, and you will know them as well. I won't mention the name, but what they do is, um, they write content such as what is topical authority or how to get topical authority, the complete guide to building a cluster, etc.
Mhm.
And then they promote it on LinkedIn, um, like through their people, and they talk about it, and they do webinars where they talk about this subject. And I know for a fact, because I fell into their funnel, they then retarget anyone who visits those blogs with case studies constantly.
What?
So people
That's
who,
interesting.
someone on,
Okay.
so I think what their funnel will be is connect with their target audience on LinkedIn. For example,
Mhm.
head of content at all their favorite SaaS brands. Then they publish a really good article on building topical authority. And then they get them, whoever clicks and read that gets
Yeah.
retargeted with a case study for that agency of how they grew them to 0 to 100,000 in X.
Using the the thing that they read the blog post about.
Yeah. So then they're
Oh, that's
retargeting
cool.
their
Okay. That
ideal audience over and over
yeah.
again with content. And it didn't work. I mean, it didn't work for me because I'm not their audience, but I know a lot more about their brand and how they work
Mhm.
and the fact that they're successful. And I know they're doing well from it.
You have to let me know who it is so I can keep an eye out.
Yeah.
That's a really smart way of doing like retargeting with content, I think is like the sleeper play that so many people still don't do.
Yeah. Yeah. And case study, SEO is a perfect, um, like I do SEO case studies on the podcast. It's the perfect way to like
Indeed.
teach whilst explaining how great your brand is.
Mm.
Most,
Case studies are like the epitome of show don't tell.
yeah, most case studies will just explain specifically, specifically what you did. Like SaaS case studies, they just go like, they used our tools to do this, and they don't actually teach you how to do it. And that's what you really want to read. Like, I wouldn't read a SaaS case study. I don't care about that. I just want to hear, how can I do this myself? Which I think,
Honestly, I think that's a failing in how people write case studies
yeah, 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 yeah.
because
I agree.
people write them from the wrong person who wins.
Hmm.
And the person who wins in case studies, by the way, should not be the person that sells the solution. It should be the person who needs the solution.
Mhm.
They should win.
That's
That's
it.
how case studies should be written. I can go on. I can go on. There's the thing called the
Okay.
hero's journey, but like
No, yeah, no.
we'll save that for another time.
In my experience in being writing case studies for the SaaS companies I work for, like it's really hard to do. Like I'm always thinking, how can I make the customer look like the hero
Mm.
in this? Like you said, like how can I make them seem like they're amazing and they've done a great job?
Yeah.
But I still did it all wrong. I still think I talked about mostly about how they used our product to do that, not the overall. When I interview you about your SEO case study, everything like about it, like politics of getting it through the door, like did you do topic clusters? Did you have a content team? Like it's this the context.
I think that's still perfectly fine. I think the problem is like most case studies are written in such a way of look at how we helped X achieve Y goal,
Hmm.
not X had this problem that you as an audience would like you resonate with
Yeah.
because you like people resonate with other people's problems. They don't resonate with other people's successes because successes always feel like they're out of reach where everybody's got problems. So you resonate with the problem and you see yourself in the similar situation, that company just happened to use you to achieve a goal. That goal is also something that resonates with the user because they have the goal of solving the problem.
Mhm.
So it should always be done in that, like, we were the guide that facilitated change,
Yeah.
not
We pointed it
we're
out.
the hero of the story.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you don't use us, you lose. It's
Definitely.
like, no, the hero of the story is them because they got through this problem and got to a solution and are in a much better place for it. We just facilitated change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like I think it's very easy to do with SEO because you can say like, We told them to do this strategy, and here are like that's what happened. Here's the results."
Yeah.
And they did it, and they wrote amazing
Yeah.
content, made sure they focused on quality. But
And that's the nice thing about my stuff as well. Is like I can be like the like my strategy doesn't change, the way that I work doesn't change, and I give all of the credit to the people that write it because then I don't write it.
yeah,
I just gave them an outline of like how to write it. I helped with the research of the keywords, but they were the ones that initially were like, "This is a good one. This is bad. Like not good for this. We can do all of these things." Like I just break down the technical, like, oh my god, like what is SEO side, and make it something that they can then use and be in a better position for it. So like case studies for me are really fun to write, but I can understand like you want to make you look good.
mhm,
Case studies are difficult. Like,
yeah,
there's the reason their entire company's built around writing case studies.
yeah.
It's difficult. Probably.
And it's hard to make for most industries. It's hard to make exciting, but I think for a lot of SEOs, especially if you're starting out, won't have a case study. But
Yeah.
I see people post stuff that I don't think it necessarily is particularly impressive. Let's say like it's not 0 to 1 million in a year or something.
Hmm.
They post like, "Hey, it's working. We've just got to 400 clicks in a month from 0." And that's enough mostly, I think, from my experience in SEO to make people reach out and say, "Oh, how can you do that?" Eh,
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's not doesn't
Yeah. If you
actually,
can get like 10 clicks a day,
yeah,
12 clicks, 15 clicks, like depending on the product, that can be life changing.
yeah,
Like it genuinely can be. If it's for the right keywords, if it's the right product on the other side, you've got decent up like capture and conversion on the other side. Like, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not particularly difficult to do.
yeah, yeah. And when it comes to I think getting an SEO client, they just wanna know that you can do it and do it for them.
Mm,
At the end of the day, like,
yeah.
instantly share your wins. Like, for a long time, I would
Yeah.
share teaching SEO, and then every time I shared a personal, like, I did how we got it from 0 to 10,000, someone would
Mm,
reach out inevitably immediately after me sharing the win.
yeah. One of the very first posts I ever did was a case study of, and by case study, I mean it was literally a screenshot
Yeah,
of a client publishing a piece of content, and within 3 weeks, it ranking number two for a 50K search volume keyword.
damn.
And we'd just done that, like the work before with the right links. It was just positioned right.
Yeah,
And it was literally a screenshot of Search Console and Ahrefs to show, like, boom, we have this.
mhm,
And all I wrote was every SEO everywhere will tell you that these kind of results take 6 months. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but we did this in 3 weeks, but it took 5 months of prelim work to get the site into a position to make this happen.
yeah.
I got 2 clients off the back of one post because of that one thing,
Mm.
and that was, like, all it was, and, like,
Just showing
the
your win.
names blurred out, like, all of these kind of things. It helped immensely that the guy who owned the company that it was done for, like, commented and said, "This is my website.
Mm,
Tim is not lying. These are real screenshots. Like, I can show you them if you wanna see them. Like,
mm.
you should talk to Tim," which is, like, hugely helpful. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, "Oh, no, don't do that."
No,
But
yeah,
at the same time, like, most of your clients aren't okay if you fully put their name in. Like you'll need to get like sign off for that.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of them are perfectly fine if you blur out the keyword and you blur out their site name. And the one thing that I will say that will just set you apart from pretty much any other SEO is post your search console screenshots, not your Hrefs screenshots, because
Yeah.
you own your search console screenshots. No one can take those numbers away from you.
Yeah. Ahrefs is quite inaccurate, I think, for those.
And they can be anyone's, right? Especially if you're blowing out the names, but like
Oh,
search
yeah.
console screenshots are yours.
I mean, not saying we should do this, but you could literally make up case studies with an Ahrefs screenshot and
I've
keep it.
seen people do it.
They must have. I mean, it's not that
I've
hard to
heard
do.
it.
You could just pretend. You could create a huge facade of
What
you being
what
an SEO
hurts the
amazing agent.
most as well is like I know the original person that made that happen because they posted about it like 3 or 4 weeks earlier, and that person's literally just right click, save to desktop.
That's a
Please,
bit rude. I mean, don't do that. Let's not do that. No
let's
one can.
not do that. Post your search,
Yeah.
please.
Okay. The final one I would mention. So, did you get any clients slash conversations after coming on my podcast?
Yeah, I did. I told you.
I know, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm setting you
yeah.
up.
No, I did. No, I did. I had got like 5 or 6 advising calls of people just straight booking and then
Really?
saying and then where they heard me, it was like,
You owe
"Heard
me
you on."
some money, I
I
think.
did, that's how it works. They were like, "Heard you on the How the Fuck podcast, really enjoyed what you spoke about this. I think we've got a similar issue, would like to talk to you about it."
Yeah.
Like, so much of them, like, I think if I remember correctly, most of them were all to do with content clustering.
Wow.
Which I can understand, like, it's a difficult thing to get right, and even if you get it right, like, you don't know if you've got it right until you've put it into practice.
Yeah.
And then I've had like, one client, the one prospect at the moment that I'm in pretty deep talks with for 6 months, like, of project work that their who was it? Who was it? Their head of content reached out to me because one of their senior editors had listened to the podcast and told him, "I've just had this guy on this podcast. You should talk to him. He's on
No way.
LinkedIn." Yeah. So it wasn't even like direct. The guy turned up to the call initially and it was like, "So just remind me again, like where you heard from me." And he was like, "One of my editors heard you on a podcast, said I should talk to you."
Wow. I need to ask this question to people more because I never know who is listening. I don't know the impact really.
But I've had a load of people as well on just in DMs just reach out to me. Like there's someone in Australia, there's a guy in Switzerland, there's another guy in America, like all reach out to me and go, "Loved what you were talking about on the podcast." Like these kind of things, like super just you gave like good advice. It didn't none of it felt frilly, like those kind of things. And I take a bit of pride in the way that I talk about SEO because I don't want it to be frilly. I want it to be open and accessible and
Mhm.
like gates open, come in as much as I possibly can. Because of the exact reason that we said about before, like I have no issue defining the dots. You pay me because I know what order to join them in.
Yeah.
So I don't mind like explaining as much as I possibly can because the likelihood that exactly what I'm talking about is the exact thing that you need for your situation is like thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's zero.
This is yeah. It comes full circle to just share. Like I think if you're a smart person, you got some results under your belt as well, and some cool stuff to talk about. Like, try and get on some podcasts. Um,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
advice. It happened.
One of my big goals is to get onto more podcasts because I enjoy it. I like talking to people about SEO.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to. I honestly do not listen to other SEO podcasts. I need to do a bit more research into like what they're doing right and stuff. I think there's some really good ones out there. Mm.
Plenty
But
of lists on LinkedIn of people recommending SEO.
yeah,
You're on most of them.
am I?
Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest right now. There's Ahrefs who sponsor the podcast have our top when you type in SEO podcast in Google. So I'm trying to get on that freaking list.
What? Okay. You're trying to beat Ahrefs.
No, no, no.
Ahrefs game.
I'm not trying to beat them. I'm trying to be on their list. You know,
Oh, I see. I
they've got a top
see.
10. They've got a top 10 list of podcasts.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm trying
That
to
is
get on that
interesting.
list. But
That's 2023 goal.
yeah, yeah,
Get on the Ahrefs list.
it's
I like that.
hopefully in the works, but it's actually difficult to. They won't just put anyone in their content, I'm sure. Okay. Another example, I guess I could choose. Maybe this is not really relevant to most people, but me sharing other people's case studies brings me customers too. So, and to be honest,
I can understand that.
yeah, like I guess I explain, like, for example, the Monday.com case study, like I explained in depth how they did it based on the podcast. And I probably had like 10 to 15 people reach out and say, can you do the same for us? Can you build us content?
What?
Can you scale us? And I'm like, it's not me. I say very clearly, I didn't do that. But they know that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, someone said, I reached out to Brad, who's the guy who did the podcast, and
Mhm.
their client list is full. So
Mm.
can you help us? And I put it down to, like, of course, like I'm showing my expertise by it being able to analyze and share that. They
Yeah.
can find out that I am in SEO too. That's just brand like awareness.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's kind of it. You, I
Even, like, just to get a foot in the door, like I say, in those kind of rooms is, like, ridiculous.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like, just to have people like, okay, even if you were to do all of that, like, even if you said yes, like, in most instances, like, they're probably not in a position for them to even implement anywhere near to the extent of some of the people that you've had on recently that have
yeah,
been insane case studies. But for you to just talk about it and like kind of lay it out a little bit more specifically for them, like a lot of people will pay for that shortcut of like, okay, case study, what's specifically applicable for us? And
yeah,
like to talk about those kind of things, I think is ridiculous. But then the one other thing I was gonna say, which I think is still applicable here, is that like I don't mind giving as much away as possible because one, I'm very specific with who I work with, and
yeah.
I do not have the time to say yes, everyone.
As much as
Like
people want.
I just don't. So
No, agreed, agreed.
can you imagine if everyone like came to you and you were just like, yeah, let's take you on for like a Monday.com sized project?
Yeah, well, they
You'd
were.
have to you'd have to drop everything.
Well, that's what that's actually what happened with a few people. Like they wanted me to do it, and I was like, I could do it. One, that's not my goal in life, to be honest, to set up
Hmm.
an agency. I have been through it and I've scaled content at another company. So, but what I mostly did is like, I'll introduce you to the people I know who can do it
Yeah.
because I don't have the time. But also, like I just said, I'll do the strategy for you. I help you choose the clusters and the
Mhm.
keywords. I'm not going to be able to write or scale your content, but I'll help you with a strategy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I
and they
can't
were
imagine like trying to do like what Monday have done or like Scribe as like my as like
me.
one client of like 8 clients and they're all of that size. Like I'd have no life. I mean I don't anyway, I'm an SEO. But like but like outside of like I'd have nothing. I'd have every single waking second of my life be just
That's what I say to people. Like I say to people, like when I introduce them, it's like those people's job is not to like be great content people. It's like actually their job is to find and scale great writers.
mm,
Like they're basically
and apply a direction and
yeah.
just go.
But the
Yeah.
most difficult thing is keeping like the amount of freelancers that you're playing with
Uh
on cars. Like
yeah.
they're operational like mechanisms. Like that's what you're
Yeah.
paying.
That scares me. Like that kind of stuff scares me. Of just
It's amazing.
like it scares me enough thinking like I'm hiring a project manager next year. But like
Nice.
People that I talk to that are like, "Yeah, we've got a writing team of like 30 people." And I'm like, "Jesus Christ, how do
Oh,
you
God.
keep track of all of that work?"
Jacob worked at G2,
Yeah,
Scribe, um, and he said they had an enormous content team, but they were making 500 new articles a quarter or a half or something. But he said, I saw him post in a comment on LinkedIn, that was basically saying like the CMO got fired and got fired from other
yeah,
things because they wrote that much content that never ranked, never went anywhere, and that like their goal was 1 million in traffic and 500 pieces of content that there was no real thought behind it. Yeah.
alright.
Well,
Jeez, okay.
like that, he said that where we went wrong is our goal was volume of content, not revenue.
Yeah, no, that hurts, that hurts.
And like, if,
There's so many people that I talk to, and it's one of the bigger reasons why I just, like, harp on about refreshing old content is because the reason that the last time content gets looked at internally is also the first time it gets published is because the goals are set around moving on to the next piece and publishing the next piece. The goals are set around content amount KPIs
yeah,
and not what are we getting per piece of content.
100%.
And like those goals are wrong. I will happily like that is a hill I will happily die on. And that just there are so many companies that do content velocity well. It is not something I can see smaller teams being able to facilitate, and less, more purposeful content, I think will get them a much better and um like easier to manage result rather than just 100, 200, 300 blog posts. I'd like let's do 15 a month instead of 150.
Yeah. I think people see the velocity thing and they think I can brute force traffic growth by doing this. I'll blow some money on it, but we'll get traffic growth. But I just think it's not for everyone. Like you said, like being more strategic.
I love watching it happen. I can't deny I love watching it happen because when it happens properly, there is a level of ridiculous quality that is behind the quality too.
Mhm.
Like they're not just pumping out like 150 articles. It's like here's 150 articles and they're all very well written. They're all researched. They're all um
Mhm.
they're all internally linked properly. Like all of these things.
You can do all that. Great.
It's not let's just shotgun 150 pieces of content at Google and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people miss that. But I like to manage that as like one person from a content strategy point of view. Like I'm running hard in the other direction and finding another job.
Yeah. Yeah. I have stories. I'm not going to tell all the story. Maybe another podcast. But I completely agree with that. Um. Well, we've done one, and it's taken us more than an hour. Uh, I hope people find that useful and interesting. I'm hoping the person who asked this question will absolutely love that we spent all our time on it.
we should we should do shotgun questions. We should do like a fast round of just boom questions for the next one to get through as many as possible.
Yeah, true, true. And okay, so if anyone listening got this far and has a question, submit it somewhere. You'll find a link. Maybe
Yeah.
in this podcast, I've got an Airtable with a form, so just it'll be underneath this
Or
podcast.
DM us. Like I'll happily take
Yeah,
DMs and save them. Like if you know that you're gonna listen to them on Ben's
yeah.
podcast, like DM. That's if you'll have me on it. Like obviously.
No,
I'll forward any questions back.
you can't come back.
God damn
Yeah,
it.
100%. Actually, yeah, if you don't have time to reply to people in your DMs, we'll just address it on here.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. Let's go through Tim's DMs.
Perfect. That's actually quite good. Like, podcast on
That's like the how the fuck like after dark podcast is. Let's answer
my
Tim's.
DM. Yeah, Tim's DMs.
No.
So Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. People will, I'm sure,
Pleasure.
see you on the next listeners' questions
A
or a different one.
pleasure. We need to get Jake in on one, or like, or just other people. We'll get
Oh,
other
that'd be
people on
great.
it.